Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, the time frames are, I have to go back to my computer and read that again. But it doesn't matter. There has been much that's been said this morning about yesterday, and it was such an honor to be there. The vibes were amazing. How many of you were there? Fantastic. We were wondering last night, who was going to be tired and stay home, and I thought the reception that was set up after and the food, those salads were absolutely, they were beautiful to look at, and every one of them was so delicious. And I thought, if there's heart and soul put into this food and the setup, and my hat's just so off to all of you, and I think the space is just lovely. Sitting there while Janice Stanfield was singing Born to be Great, I was watching this kind of labradoodle bounce all around out there, and I thought, that dog is living its greatness, and that's everyday greatness. So, yes, absolutely honored to be here on the heels of yesterday's, and I don't use this word lightly, auspicious occasion. Reverend Suzanne's ordination, and also at the same time her installation, her formal installation being accepted by all of you as your minister. And those two ceremonies don't always happen together. One in and of itself is really powerful in its own way. But what I want you to know, and again, I don't take this lightly, and I hope you won't either. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in different ways. That yesterday, promising, vital, life-giving seeds were planted for the consciousness of the Foothill Center for Spiritual Living. And because these two are one and the same, for each one of you. The question is, will you be open to these seeds sprouting? Will you even be aware of them? If you're being pushed or called, pushed by desperation, feeling, what's my purpose? Or pulled by inspiration, knowing what your purpose is, either way or somewhere in between, you are being called at the right time, and the right place, and in the right way. I have so many stories for myself about that. When I started attending at this time, in 1984, 1984, I began, pushed by desperation, to the Paradise Church of Religious Science. And as you heard yesterday, Reverend Suzanne mentioned that we used to use that term before adopting Centers for Spiritual Living. But When I got there on the first day, I don't think I ever stopped going. And because I was being pushed by desperation, and I didn't know how much that desperation was, but there's something about being in an environment of love and acceptance that opens the path for all that needs to be released or healed or talked about, your story. And I just went and received. I signed up immediately for the first year, the beginning year of study of the science of mind, which was a full year. And then when I had signed up to begin my second year, they were co-ministers, and Dr. John McEwen came to me. He was teaching, and he said to me, it might be helpful to you. We have a program where if you teach the youth and do the youth program, you will be compensated for class. And I just thought, you gotta be kidding. You're talking to me? I just finished the first year. I'm a baby. The more you learn, the more you want to learn or need to hear, or just from within inside. And he said, no, I'm not kidding me. And he just handed me the big 3-ring binder that had all of these lesson plans in them. Well, that was an opportunity, unbeknownst to me, that I learned many things about myself. I learned that I had the qualities of a teacher. As I shared these basic principles, these changeless principles of how universal mind, God, spirit, infinite intelligence works, and that I was able to get these down to just core, simple ideas. And thank goodness that I was overwhelmed by this binder, but thank goodness I had it, because it was just a wealth of information. And after the end of the second year, between doing the youth church, taking the class, and also doing lots of spiritual counseling, oh my gosh, of what I had learned so far, I knew the teaching inside out because I was teaching it. And, we find out that you teach, you speak what you really need to learn. And that was that was the beginning of my experiences of being called into the unknown and how scared I was. And thought, obviously, he was asking the wrong person. But he knew. And that was one of the very powerful things that I experienced early on, that those that I looked up to that were further along in the learning saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. They didn't have to tell me that, but they knew when the timing was to tell me along the way. But even though they didn't tell me, they treated me that way. So I don't know, of course, what it is for you. But these seeds of love, of joy, of peace, of being empowered, of inspiration, and of transformation, something was planted in you yesterday. Will you answer the call? The founder of religious science movement and the teaching of, and creator of the teaching of the science of mind wrote and talked about how we co-create with spirit. We call it the creative process, also known as the triune nature of God, spirit, soul, and body. And this is the nature of God. This one creative power out of which we have come, created in the image and the likeness of this infinite potential and everyday greatness. This one that created the heavens and the earth and the planets and the seas and all of the creatures and the beautiful mountains. But what does it say in the Bible? We're a little bit above the angels. Now, I don't know about that terminology necessarily, but while we definitely have instinct that we've been born with, we also have a choice. And we don't always know that we have a choice, which can be that victim consciousness, or it can be simply living our lives status quo. Just ho-hum, yeah, everything is comfortable. I don't need courage for anything, because, I like everything easy and comfortable, and I don't want any stress and change. Well, good luck. I think that's a pretty miserable existence, because everything in this universe changes, evolves, and, in some way, even though I don't dismiss in any way what is happening to our planet and how humankind have treated the planet out of our own ignorance and, maybe some of not knowing how to change, but not answering the call, because we have to pick up the phone or push that button on our cell phone. We have to answer the call before we start to receive the guidance. Yes, I'm listening. Now I want to read to you, how many of you are familiar with this?
Yes. What is it?
This
My
is,
book.
This is your minister's little book called the Mind Gardening Handbook. I think you should have that on the table somewhere. Cristine, may you continue to plant your garden of good. Thank you. So, in terms of planting seeds, I want to read to you this part about the creative process, because I think that it says very concisely, it states the concept. You may have heard of the creative process. It is a principle of life. It's the way in which the universe works. It is the process by which the thoughts, beliefs, and decisions of our subconscious mind become our life experiences. Subconscious meaning below our level of awareness. And it is even referred to in the Bible as, it is done as you believe. As you sow, so you reap. And remember the old adage, what goes around comes around. It's called the law. The law of cause and effect. The law of attraction. The law of mind. This is not a human law, it's a spiritual law. And that's what we study, the spiritual laws, so that we can come in alignment. We're already in alignment with gravity. Unless we're a little something. But there are many, if we don't know what the universal spiritual laws really are consciously, I mean, we know maybe, we know we want to do good, but so many things get in our way, don't they? So many things that happen to us as children, so many things that as adults, challenges, trying to do our best to earn a living, to take care of children, to deal with all of the things that are going on around us, seeing the unhoused people, things that challenge us in terms of problem solving, and things that are heavy on our hearts. So many things. Absolutely no one is exempt from this law. The law of mind is like the laws in nature, just as the soil knows how to accept a seed and make a plant from it. Just like you say, if you're going to plant a watermelon, you're going to get a watermelon. It may not be the greatest watermelon. It may not get nurtured. It may be just the most beautiful, prolific watermelon. It might change from season to season, but you're going to get some kind of a watermelon, or a carrot, or an apple tree. And it's the same for the seeds that we plant for ourselves. But we have to nurture them in this subconscious mind. Ernest Holmes referred to that mind as the subjective mind, because it receives that soil of the creative mind in us. It receives what we plant into it. And we may not know the specific answer for many of our challenges, but we know that we can plant seeds of love, of accepting that answers come at the right time for us, that we're open to receiving our inner guidance, that in some way we will know. And that Buddhist practice of knowing when you walk, knowing when you eat, being conscious, being mindful, and being aware is part of our nurturing these seeds and these ideas. So, I love this little book. Yeah, I think it's really, really great. Now, one of the things that I love about our teaching is that you can go, well, let me stop there first and let me say, the title of my talk is Finding the Courage to Change. And everything that I've been talking about so far is about developing courage. And Dr. Holmes tells us that we don't have to go out and get faith. Faith is already within us. But we have to nurture it. We have to speak faithful thoughts, not just hopeful, but things that we absolutely have faith in. We have to know them consciously. We have to find ways, whether it's a book or a talk or your own your own quiet spiritual practice, whether it's journaling, whatever it is. There's so many things that you can do, but what's important is the repetition. We learn and we grow by repetition. So it can't be just some, fanciful, oh, that would be nice kind of thought. Something that is really a desire of our heart. An example of that was very powerful for me in my learning about being a practitioner and about the qualities of God was in my years as selling real estate in Paradise. For the first time, I was in that business, it seemed like a very long time at that time, about 14 years. And I had one time that I had to go to court. And I was really scared, super scared. And I understood what the issue was for the buyer. And I thought, well, what I'm learning is to go to spiritual mind treatment. And this is something that I need help with. I'm not really sure how to treat for this. So I went to my minister, who was teaching that I was taking the first year's classes, and I told him the situation, and I said, this was on a Sunday, and I said, hey, I'm going to go to court this week, and I just really don't know how to treat for this. And this is an example to me of going to someone who can know the truth for us, because there's only one mind. That mind is the mind of God, and that is the mind that we are using. And when something is spoken in deep spiritual conviction that is grounded in the spiritual qualities and attributes of spirit, and you'll see what I mean by that when I'm telling you how he said to treat for what he was going to do, then that is known everywhere. And I knew that he was powerful in his faith and in his belief. I knew that when he told me that he was going to do it, that meant that he was going to sit down and focus on this and do this spiritual mind treatment for me. And he said, the truth is, Cristine, that this isn't about you or them or the judge or anything else. This is about the truth. Not your truth or their truth. This is about the truth. Is that time that you're giving me?
No.
Okay.
He's giving you some love.
Okay. So he said, the prayer that I am going to do for you, about you, is that you go into that courtroom. Does anybody have an idea or a guess what it is? Divine justice.
Yes.
Divine justice. God's justice. Infinite mind's justice. Not what I wanted, to be absolved. And I went about 2 days later in the morning, I was in the shower, and I actually felt a reverberation go through my body. And I got it. And what I had been worried those couple of days about, this means I have to go into that courtroom in fully open and accepting the outcome. This can't be about me being absolved. to me. It still is, but it's the truth. And after I had that download, it felt like a download. I walked into that courtroom and I was completely at peace. Completely at peace. I do not remember what transpired. Specifically, it was quick and easy. I do remember that I had no fines or anything that I needed to do afterwards. But I was changed by that experience. I was so grateful that I had the opportunity to be called into court. Ridiculously. From the worldly effect. And so much of the time, the majority of the world tries to solve problems at the level of the problem. Good luck. Because, the problems of our country, the problems of our world, they're just opportunities. They're opportunities to grow and to change. And last night, that quote that Robert Kennedy said in his installation of president, I may fluff it up a little bit, is like, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. So on a personal level, I suggest for you, as you feel callings to engage deeper in the center, to make your giving committed and regular and growthful over time, because that was wonderful this morning to hear, and that, no, I mean, you don't give to get, certainly, but in some ways, we do receive. It may not be money, but we do receive. And, if we have this is a whole other talk, but if we have a spending plan, then we start where we're at. This community cannot step outside of where it's at and take on more that it right now does not have the infrastructure, the strength of the members, the volunteer team, the finances being in order with a little more left over. We always have to start where you are, which is kind of like, you mean it just can't change. So I want to leave you with this idea. This is a couple of lines from a song lyrics of a song by a singer called Gary Lynn Floyd, who is a resident musician at the Lakeside in Reno Center for Spiritual Living. And he's gotten so popular, and he writes the most profound lyrics. And this is one that really grabbed a hold of me, and it's called Behold. Behold, the kingdom of God is at hand. Within each woman and man, receive the truth that is setting you free. The kingdom of God is within you. We don't have to go and get it. There's much that we can do, but the most important thing is to open to that idea that we are great, that we are magnificent, that we all have these beautiful gifts that no matter how old we are, we haven't even touched yet. We haven't even opened to. That these gifts continue to change us and grow us up until the moment that we make our transition. And that they're always appropriate for where we are in our life. Powerful. So I charge you to go forth, to be bold, and to regularly behold this kingdom of God, the abundance of life, that his life has come within you and created you to live abundantly, to walk in faith, and to use the resources that are at hand. And one of those is this spiritual mentor. Go to her. Ask her for spiritual money treatment. Ask her for her ideas and her thoughts about something that you're dealing with. I guarantee you, you won't be disappointed. Right? Right. And so it is.